Episode 108, Should You PR Yourself?
Welcome to the PR Playbook Podcast, the only podcast giving you actionable skills and advice you need to execute a strategic PR program. Warning: what you hear next may lead to brand awareness and increased sales and customer exposure. Now here's your host, Ranjini Joshua.
Episode 108, Should You PR Yourself in Building Your Personal Brand? Well, thank you for joining. And the short answer is yes. Now, this is going to be the second time I record this because my recording wasn't working very well. So, but I apologize if I speed through it. Building personal brand is very, very important for a number of reasons that we're going to talk about today. And I think a lot of people kind of hesitate. It's a little awkward when you start building your personal brand as a CEO. And I think it takes a little bit of getting used to, but it's definitely worth it. You should start early, start young, start in your junior career if you can. I can't tell you how much it helps when we get a new CEO appointment or an announcement on the PR side, and we're able to say like, oh, well, he's done all this other stuff. He's spoken here, he's written here, he's established and credible in his area of expertise. And so building your personal brand is just that, is just establishing your area of expertise. And I'm going to go through a few little different areas where I think are important for you to know as you're diving into this area. What would I say? Business growth, personal development. So number one, 3 reasons why you should build your personal brand. Number one, it helps with brand awareness, and the brand awareness is you. So you're the brand in this case. It helps with your awareness, people knowing what you do, your level of expertise, and your subject matter, and where you thrive. But it also helps with the brands that you work with. So like, let's say you start a new job, having a track record, a traceable track record, a public track record, a visible brand leadership or thought leadership, bring that to any job you go to. So it really just helps with brand visibility for the company that you work for and again for your personal brand. Number 2, career longevity. It really helps establish a level of expertise and thought leadership when you're looking for a new position, when people are considering you for a board of advisors or any kind of like executive level function. And so I think that's something that people need to remember. Don't wait till you are C-level to start building this thought leadership. Start when you're young and really kind of capitalize on your area that your career is building on. If you're a marketing expert, if you're a sales expert, if you're a CPA, if you're a technology expert, whatever it is, whatever area that you fall into, you can start building and driving thought leadership there. And that will really help build your career longevity. 3, it increases your credibility overall. So this is more for me when it comes to media relations and I'm pitching an expert or I'm pitching a C-level executive. The media doesn't want to see that you've never done anything before, because I'm going to tell you, especially on podcasts, they want to know that you have a track record, that you can speak. So starting that practicing, this is why people used to do Toastmasters and things like that. Practicing that is very, very important. And so getting that going early is a good idea. So this actually helps with credibility when it comes to media relations, even when it comes to customer relations and sales. And then again, when it comes to, finding a new career or being considered an expert in a field. 3 ways how you can build your personal brand. Now, obviously, this is the how portion of it, and this is like things you can start doing right away. So number 1 is writing. Start writing. Find a topic that you're passionate about, something that you're passionate and you have an expertise in, and start writing blogs. You can write on Medium, you can write on your company blog, work with your marketing team to kind of figure out what that would look like. Write for publications. There's a number of publications that take contributed content. And all you have to do is look up those guidelines and start drafting just thought leadership and interesting ideas and thoughts in that particular realm. And we do have another podcast specifically on like thought leadership and contributed content. So I would head on over there after this if you really are going to make that jump. Number 2, doing interviews. So podcast interviews, media interviews, interviews with students, whatever it takes. start speaking and getting in front of other people, and learning how you're going to position yourself. I will say it does take a few interviews to get like kind of warmed up and get used to people asking you questions, because it could feel like you're in the hot seat at the beginning. And I cannot recall anymore, my early days of doing interviews and things like that, where I used to get kind of nervous and wanted to prepare. And now everything I can do off the cuff pretty much, but I still always prepare for interviews. So make sure that you've prepared for your interviews, do interviews, don't back away from speaking publicly. I think that's really important to kind of help build this personal branding. Third, speaking. So I would encourage you to submit for speaking opportunities. There is industry trade shows. There's always something that you can offer. If you're an expert, if you're a C-level, if you're on your way up, build yourself as an expert and pick a topic and propose it. If you don't want to speak by yourself, build a panel of other people that are in your space. What are you passionate about? It could be social equity. It could be AI and machine learning. It could be business and entrepreneurship. Whatever the case may be, there is a place for you. So there's industry trade events, there's webinars, podcasts, there's business events. There's just so many places where you can speak. So start speaking. Okay, so those are my kind of 3 ways of how to get started. Definitely writing, doing interviews, and speaking. Those are 3 things that I think you could do probably today if you wanted to look into it. And then I want to leave you with 3 best practices, because I'm always all about action and ambition here. So 3 best practices. Number 1, be consistent in what you're saying. I would suggest that you pick a couple of topics and champion those topics and kind of weave those throughout your career and build on them. Obviously, the more experience you have, the more well-versed you're going to end up being in that area. So be consistent with what you're saying. Make sure that you're not going on one interview saying one thing, going on a different webinar saying something else. It really has to be your voice. And so I don't know, depending on how many podcasts you've listened to of the PR playbook, my voice is all about educating and really giving you the tools you need to, number 1, understand what we do as PR professionals, but also be able to do it yourself. And so that's something I champion in any conversation I have. Education is like my kind of like number 1 proponent in the way I operate. So that's the way I kind of operate in every interview, no matter what the content of the interview is. So when it comes to PR, I like to educate people on like kind of the how-to and the best practices. When it comes to business topics, I also do the same thing. Like, this is how you can take action. And that's kind of my MO. So you got to pick what you're going to be consistent about and what your like kind of modus operandus is going to be when you're doing interviews or anything, any of these written things. And that consistency will really help champion you as an expert. Number 2, say something worth something. And this is something I think I feel really passionate about. Don't tell people stuff they already know. Don't tell people common knowledge. Just because it's coming out of your mouth doesn't going to make it more special. Say something that people either are not willing to say or haven't unveiled yet, or your unique perspective. But give something worth something that someone might pay for. Give it away for free. Give away tons of advice here on the PR playbook. So I'm no stranger to that. So give something worth something. I think that really helps. Number 1, show your kind of credibility and your expertise, and that, hey, look, this is like easy peasy to you. And you're definitely the person that you say you are. Last but not least, be genuine. Perfection is not required when you're doing thought leadership. You might evolve. My messages have evolved over the years, but I am very consistent as far as like kind of my main mode of delivery and how I educate people. But moreover, I'm really genuinely passionate about what I do. I'm genuine about the advice that I'm giving. It's advice I would give myself maybe 10 years ago or 20 years ago. So I think that authenticity, and I kind of like hate that buzzword, but that really comes out when you're doing any kind of thought leadership, even when it's writing or when it's speaking specifically, even when you're doing a sales call. I always tell people I'm like the worst salesperson, but truly that actually makes me a very good salesperson, and I have a very good track record. So honestly, I'm not, but that's because I'm not trying to sell. I'm just giving people recommendations and advice and kind of my genuine input on what they should be doing with their brand or how they should be like functioning their PR programs. So just remember to be genuine. So I'm going to go over those 3 categories again. The first one, 3 reasons why you should build a personal brand. Number 1, helps with brand awareness, your company's brand awareness and your own. Number 2, career longevity. And number 3, it increases your long-term credibility. The next category, 3 ways on how to build your personal brand. Number 1, for sure writing, easiest, cheapest, quickest way to build your brand. Number 2, doing interviews, podcasts, or media interviews. And number 3 is finding places to speak and talking about your expertise. And then last but not least, of course, I always love to leave you guys with best practices. Number 1, be consistent in what you are saying. Number 2, say something worth something. And last, but certainly not the least, is be genuine and authentic when you're delivering your messages. I hope I didn't go too fast. You might want to play this in slow-mo so you can catch everything I'm throwing down. But if you have any questions or you need any help identifying maybe your authentic voice or determining what you want to really position champion as an expert, I'm happy to help and do a strategy call with you. You can always email me at ronjini@thesilvertelegram.com. Until then, have a great week and I'll catch you guys next time.